Now, before All right, thank you. So before kicking this out, I would love just, set some reminders in here. As you may know all that this, there will be, the same usual webinar where you guys going to listen to our amazing panelists who are going to share their own stories in here. And you're gonna guys have the chance to also ask them. And not only about that, you will also have the chance to know more about how things went for each one of them, of course. Okay, so I would love to set some reminders as well. Make sure to keep your mics muted, and also please open your cameras. We'd love to see your faces, of course. We have to sit to take screenshot at the end, of course. Well, for today, guys, that I'm gonna be the one asking questions. I know it's a surprise, but today is a special one, so yay, I guess. All right. So yeah, thank you so much one more time for joining. Before you guys gonna maybe ask this, but there will be a Q&A part as usual. So make sure to all state your comments, your questions to the chat box, and then I'm gonna make sure to ask all of them. All right, so no need to worry about that part. All right, so thank you one more time for being here. Now, now this is the intro part I would love to do. Now I would love to thank one more time our panelists for their amazing time, for devoting it, for just being here. I really appreciate the fact that you guys accepted our invitation. It's a huge honor to have you with us. And I know you guys want to know more about them, which is why they will be always a part of reading their own bios. Okay, so I would love to start with Mr. Owen Shumanika. Okay, so I apologize if I mispronounced your names. I really do. So Owen Shumanika is a member of parliament for Shikawawa North, and is also a chair of Youth Caucus in Malawi Parliament. He is currently leading a consulting firm, Organization Management Center, a PhD student in development studies with University of South Africa. Owen holds a master's degree in business administration from Eastern and Southern African Management Institute, a bachelor degree in accountancy from University of Malawi. He holds professional qualifications, sorry, it's a plural, in accountancy. He has more than 15 years experience in leading and creating frameworks in finance, HR strategy, strategic management, leadership, and operations. Experienced in overseeing complex planning and leading a process of ensuring efficient, timely, and accurate reporting, proper managing of monitoring control and forecasting, wide experience in carrying out in-depth financial needs assessment and developing comprehensive plans, policies, and procedures to attain a sustainable organizational operating model. Wow, public, NGO, or any setting. Owen holds a proven mastery of UST, the AU, KFY, DFID, right? These are abbreviations. I hope we can explain them later. Regulations and procedures, proven ability to manage and supervise the projects, programming, finance, and administrative functions, knowledge and experience of evaluative tools in development projects management along areas of economics, justice, agriculture, education, top expertise in project evaluations, pro-recruitment, risk management, taxation and auditing, strategic plan, OD, budgeting, and forecasting plus monitoring of the same. Wow, wow. Mr. Owen, that's just amazing to really put it in words. Thank you so much for being here with us. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this time.
It's a huge pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us one more time. I would love also to read the bio of our second speaker, of course, Mr. Gigi Godfrey. Again, I apologize for mispronouncing your names. I really do. As I said, Mr. Gigi Godfrey Nazrimu. Okay, you can fix that later. I apologize for that. Has been working with nonprofits and youth leadership development in Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, and Kenya for the last 10 years. Gigi has a master's of global development and justice from Multnomah University. he is passionate about providing clean water and sustainable energy for those in need as the president and founder of East Africa Energy Solutions. During free time, he enjoys a football kick. That's amazing, with friends, hiking, including Miss Kilimanjaro, meeting new people and experiencing new cultures. Gigi and his wife currently make their home in the Pacific Northwest and Central Uganda. I hope you guys are having a great time. Of course, thank you so much, Mr. Gigi, for really joining us today.
Happy to be here. Thank you for hosting us.
Pleasure is all ours. Thank you so much one more time. Now, before kicking this out, appreciate it. Before kicking this out, I would love also to introduce, of course, as usual, Mr. Enos, the founder of the African Rebirth Program. So again, Mr. Enos, thank you for being here with us. All right, so before asking my questions and, getting into the boring part, as people call it, I would love to say how I hope both Mr. Gigi and Owen are doing great today. You can share that with us. Okay, just take the floor. Yes, Mr. Owen, you can start.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much for welcoming me. And as you have already said, issues about the youth and African rebirth are very much intertwined, and it's exciting to be here and share with you some of the experiences and the little time I've been a member of parliament, and also how in business I've survived. I think we'll share a number of issues and also learn from the colleagues here, from the insights and their comments which they have. But an issue of Africa and its rebirth regarding the involvement of the youth and what we can do and what we must do and what we shall be doing, I think is something that we should properly engage in a discuss about it and get ready for something that we can contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I truly agree with you. It's all about as youth and how can we contribute to making Africa, of course, a better place. So thanks for setting that out. What about you? Sorry, Mr. Gigi. And by the way, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your names.
It's JJ.
JJ, all right.
Soma, can you say the question one more time? Sorry.
Yes, just how are you doing? What do you think, being here at African Rebirth, what does it represent to you? Just, quick to break the weather. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Definitely happy to be here. Most of you don't know, Enoch is actually my young brother. So it's the first time
Yes.
It's the first time he's hosted me on his webinars. It's good to see all young people from all corners of Africa coming together to, I call it trading ideas. And as iron sharpens iron, that's how we can get better. So it's a truly an honor for me to come and share the little experiences that I have and most important, learn from you what you guys are doing, and looking forward to all your questions. And yeah, it's going to be an exciting time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gigi. So as Mr. Gigi said, he is actually Mr. Enos's brother. So welcome with us one more time. All right. So as you may know, today's topic, we're going to discuss it from different sectors: the political space, the economic space, the social space. So it's going to be like, kind of diverse in here. So which is why I really want to keep this webinar with this question: like, what are the contributions of young in restoration of political prosperity of Africa? Like, what ways should young people contribute to the political development? You can just consider from that way. So should we always go to Owen, or maybe did you want to take this question first? Well, it's all yours, because usually it's a female and male, then we're gonna say, oh, females first or ladies first. Now this is hard for me. You can just take the floor.
I will let Owen kick off. I'll let Owen kick us off with that political, because he's already in the politics. So
yeah, okay, awesome. Go ahead. All right, Mr. Owen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll start from the very same base where you are saying, no, Owen is politic. And so, no, we are all politicians. We are all political. And the political space is not limited to where somebody should hold an office, a political office. Because politics is about even the structures that we have that are able to carry forward the policies of the governance in as far as the economy and the whole society is concerned. So how can the youth contribute? The first way of contribution is participation. Currently, the African continent, and I'm sure even in Malawi in particular, we have a biggest number of youth. People who are below 35 are closer to almost 58%. That is a very youthful population. Now, what runs an economy, what runs the social fabric is the political structure. In this case, it's not about just having political parties and also, no, it's the whole thing, essence of making sure that policy is translated into action. So I feel the first contribution young people we can do is to participate. Most of us are shunning participating in politics. And if we are participating at a very low level where now we are just amassed to cause violence, start the demonstrations, paint ourselves and dance for politicians. But the first step should be to participate. And how to participate is not only at the end, but also in the decision-making of political parties, decision-making of political structures in this country. So I would start from there, that young people can contribute by participating. Young people can contribute by having the consciousness of nationhood. You see, the other problem we are having is that we don't have the consciousness for nationhood. And as a result, politicians are running affairs because they feel they are more concerned with the needs of our people. They are more concerned with the challenges of our people. Why do the young people, we feel we are just the beneficiaries from the actions of politicians. So we should also have the consciousness that no, we can also do it. We are the agents of change. So that's the first, I would say, we should contribute as young people, participate, and grow through the ranks. Start from where you are. Join the political movements, join the political systems. I come from a village where we have even village structures. From the district council, we have community structures. Those are political structures in essence, because they translate policy. Most of our youth, they share such community responsibilities. So the first contribution is make sure, apart from voting, participate. So that's the first step I can say.
Well said, Mr. Owen. I totally agree with you. And it's true that it's just about the engagements that we as youth must take part in this. So it's truly right. And I agree with you 100%. Maybe Mr. Gigi, another opinion or truly agree?
I 100% agree with Owen. I think that, beyond participation, we don't have a choice. We have to. And, as I like the term young people, but you're not really young. You are expected to be a contributor to the welfare of your society. So I think in the African culture, we have this mentality that young people have to wait for their time, but I think that you don't have to wait for your time. You have to work towards your time. I think that I was reading a report in 2019. There's a study done in South Africa trying to see, they were researching about young people voting and democracy and what they call youth apathy. So they discovered that a lot of young people don't have trust in government leaders, in political parties. They place emphasis on socioeconomic benefits. So, and as long as that is true, but it's also sad because young people don't want to go out to vote. So I think that Owen mentioned something like conscience. We have to develop this conscience. I think in the last 10 years, in the 21st century, it's officially that young people are the majority all over the world. So this is an era of young people, meaning the future is ahead of us, and we have to be conscious. Owen talked about demonstrating and banning things. that is very destructive. We have to think strategically. Why would you go burn the building that was built 10 years ago instead of adding on to that building? I don't think that is that destructive participation, but we have to think, have a vision, like what do you want to achieve at the end of the day? What things do you want to see change? I mean, you can demonstrate, you can do it peacefully, but like what we've seen, young people going and dancing, and please stop dancing at the tune of politicians. Politicians, they want to use you to achieve their own goals. You can have a mentor, but don't work for politicians to destroy your society and cause divisions and more chaos. So have the conscience. Where do you want to go? Do you want Malawi, to go to Mars in the next 10 years? Do you want to take X number of, rockets to, whatever you want? Do you want to improve healthcare? Do you want to, I like what Owen said, politics is not just restricted in an office. Politics is everywhere, because there's even politics in church or religious, things. So let's have a conscience. Like, where do we want to see our countries? Where do we want to see Africa? And then have a plan.
Yeah, well said, Mr. Gigi. You really mentioned very interesting points. And I do believe that like everyone can really be politician in their own way, in their own, I would say, field of study, work, whatever. So I do totally agree with your points. So thanks for mentioning them. What about you, Mr. Inosh? Would you love to maybe add anything?
Not really. Just give time to our panelists. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Now let's move to the economic space. Economically, what strategic ways should young engage to contribute to economic prosperity of Africa? Yes, Mr. Owen.
I wanted to add to say, when you talk of, there's one book which I read some time ago. It's about it is called The Origins of Power, Prosperity and Poverty. It was written by one guy. It's about the wealth of nations, the poverty of nations. And one thing that is critically coming out in that is that nations are poor, not because of whether they have resources whatsoever, but because of the political leadership. Now, I wanted to add in that to say how we can also contribute in politics. It's also by participating in the governance institutions that matter most in as far as politics is concerned. So institutions are very important. We have institutions of democracy. We have institutions of whatsoever, which as the youth, we need to find ourselves there and take part. Now, coming to this issue of economics, anything hinges on economics. Politics is about economics. Political activity, in fact, politics came to life because of economics. Now, what should we say is our role and how can we contribute and participate in the economy? One of the reasons we are also at this stage as Africa is because most of our youth have not become a great factor of productivity. There's still a factor of production wherein they're just labor. But you see, previously factors of production were capital, labor, land, and entrepreneurship. But labor has now changed because labor is now something that we are now calling now workforce, human capital. Now, have our young people become the real human capital that we need? Those are the questions we should engage ourselves in. Have ourselves become the real human capital that we need? So we can participate first by making sure that we are a viable human capital that is required for development. Vis-a-vis, we are talking about entrepreneurs. To what extent, what type of businesses are we starting? What is our participation in the finances, in financing market? Those are the things that as the youth, we need to also understand. Entrepreneurship is very key. We need to engage ourselves in economics. we are looking towards now where we should be setting up big companies and corporations. I like my colleague from Uganda, JJ, say he's an entrepreneur. But we should look bigger than that. Say, are we starting big businesses that will really spur development of this country? To what extent are we participating in the financial markets? And again, in what areas are we practicing our entrepreneurship? Because there are key issues that are affecting Africa. Agriculture is an issue, health is an issue, education is an issue, energy is an issue. So all these areas are creating room for business. In essence, to what extent have the youth penetrated the energy sector as entrepreneurs, as businessmen, as especially civil? These are the things, and how many of our youth are participating in serious education? If you look at our education system, it's still a problem. So I still feel we can participate by making sure we're a reliable force, a force of ethics and integrity, a workforce that is, if I'm a finance manager, director of finance today, am I really doing as required to a point that I'm prospering the republic or the company to which I'm working? Are we starting a number of organizations as the youth? How many of the listed companies in Africa are owned by the youth? How many of those companies that are above the capital threshold of 500,000 US dollars are owned by the youth? Those are the demographics we should consider about. So how can we participate? We should participate by making sure that we are good entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurial skills we are practicing. We should not be looking just for jobs. And that's why we get abused now. And again, even if we want to start something, do we have the specialization? Do we have the technique, the knowledge that is required for such business? So you can only participate if you have knowledge. You can play football if you know the rules of football. Otherwise, if you grab it, you come with netball rules to football, they will blow the whistle that it's a handball. So it's in essence that we need to make sure that we participate in economics by making sure we are reliable for workforce, and we're also very shrewd businessmen. Youth, like in Malawi, the youth, we have a national endowment trust where we are giving loans to young people. But I can tell you most of the young people are getting the loans, but they are defaulting. They are failing to run businesses. So those are the issues. We need to build the capacity of our youth. The youth should thrive much to build their own capacity to survive in the business environment. The business environment is not a church. It's not friendly. There are a lot of things that we should get prepared to do. So those are the two factors which I felt they are very key. We should develop the entrepreneurial stamina. That is also based on innovation. It should solve a certain problem for our people, because that is what will capture everything. Maybe I should stop there.
Well, you really amaze me with your points, indeed, because I am also as representing the youth in here, and the fact sometimes it's really hard to convince them that trusting as is the right thing to go for, can be the best option to go for, but like sometimes you will get this famous expression, no, it's too risky to really get you guys involved in politicians or improving our economies. It's like too risky to trust you. So the problem sometimes really come back to the authorities and the society, the way it sees its youth, and like not, maybe their touch is maybe not that needed now, or maybe it's too risky to add it. So I hope this mindset can be replaced with another one where when we add our touch, will be actually supported and not just rejected every single time. So I hope so, of course. Yes, of course, Mr. JJ, you can interfere in here as well.
Thanks so much. I 100% agree with everything that Owen said. We have to develop this mindset. In economics, when you look at Africa's economy, there's what they call the missing middle. So you have companies like MTN and the other big companies, and then there's nothing in the middle. Then you have a chapati stand or a vegetable stand as a business. But research has shown that what sustains countries is actually the missing middle. Companies like, I don't know, supermarket, how many supermarkets, those chains. I think that's why we have to look at especially young people in Africa, and kind of, you know, because it's hard at the same time, because when Owen mentioned our education system, our education system is a 20th century or 19th century, so it's actually all outdated. Our education system can help us solve the 21st century. But the cool thing about that also, this is an information age. There's no, as a young person who has access to internet, there's no excuse for you not to be informed. It's absolute zero. You can actually learn about things with just, you know, click. If you go, if you spend time on the internet, what do you use the internet for? You just watch YouTube and, you know, do things, you know, so you can educate yourself on what's going. There's so much information about business practices. There's so much information about, you know, people starting companies. There's so much information about literally everything that you can actually go on the internet and learn about the things. And Owen mentioned about labor. What kind of labor are we exporting? I see, like, most countries, people going to Dubai, you know, as, you know, domestic workers. But is that really that we want? You know, are we exporting medical doctors? Are we exporting nurses? Are we exporting the Indians, like exporting IT all over the world? So I think that's what we have to, you know, think about. You know, someone in East Africa or whatever sells their land to go to Dubai to become a domestic worker. And then, you know, so first of all, you have land. Why would you sell your land to go and become a domestic worker? Why can't you do something to multiply something on your land and become your own boss? And, you know, agriculture, there's so many ways that you can invent and grow. So, you know, we have this flight of young people going to, you know, people drowning in the Mediterranean. We're losing so much. We're losing a lot of young people being pushed by, they call what, push factors in economics. Those are push factors. People can't, it's unbearable for them. But it's also a mindset, you know. It's also a mind. I understand it's hard, but it's a mindset. If we change our mindset, we can make things happen. You know, you're going to drown in the Mediterranean, and you have a piece of land, whatever you're coming from. You have rain 9 months of the year. You know, you have all these factors. All you need is information and aspiration and inspiration. So we need to spark our imagination. I don't think we've stretched our imaginations as young people, mostly in Africa. I don't think we have stretched our imagination. You can only do what you have thought about. You can't do what you haven't thought about. So we have to stretch our imaginations and see possibilities and then work hard. It's not, even when going to Europe to pick citrus and oranges over the summer, it's a lot of hard work. So I think that, you know, start small, start whatever. And Owen mentioned about something related to discipline. A lot of young people get money, but you don't know how to handle money. You go waste it, you go buy the newest shoes, you buy all these gadgets, you know, and some people marry the second wife or whatever happens. We have to become very shrewd with our money. You don't let money go out of your pocket, because once it goes, it does not come back. Always have a mindset of how to multiply. And you also have to develop a mindset that there's no, if you have in Uganda or in America is $1, it's $1. If you have $1, don't just say it's just $1. That dollar, if you have another dollar, it becomes $2. So you're $2 richer. So don't just see money and say, oh, it's just a little bit of money, let me go waste it. You just save money and have respect for money. Don't let money go out of your pocket. If it has to go out of your pocket, of course there are things, that necessary things you have to do, paying bills and all that kind of thing. but don't just let money go out of your pocket unnecessarily. So I would say, I don't know, young people, we have to innovation, we have to think. Right now we have problems like climate change. Owen, I don't know in Malawi, but I don't know how many people in Malawi still use charcoal and firewood as their main source of energy. But in Uganda, over 90% people still use charcoal and firewood. But we all know that trees are finite resources. They have a limit. And the more population grows, the more we put pressure on the trees. So what are we doing to reverse that? And as young people, what are we thinking? So we need to spark our imagination. I think it starts from there. The technicalities and how to do business and all that you can learn. But if you don't have the imagination and the conscious, I think that's how we start. We have to start imagining. You look at companies like Facebook, TikTok, Zoom, Amazon. These companies are like 20 years old. So these are companies that began in your lifetime, like early 2000s, late 1990s, but their budgets are bigger than some of our country's GDP. So it's a spark of imagination. Like, what can you imagine, and then do, and then go for it. Don't wait, go for it. So I think it starts from there. Spark your imagination, see possibilities. Seek mentors, seek information. This is, again, I said, this is an information age. You have no excuse saying I don't know. The quality of education in your own classroom may be trash, but spend 3 hours a day, whatever subject interests you. If it's economics and entrepreneurship, politics, spend an hour and study. So that's all I can say. There's probably a lot that can be said, but that's imagination for me. That's the key thing.
Thank you so much. It was actually a useful post. So whatever you said, all what you've said, it was really on top. So thank you so much. And I totally agree with you guys, because, it's quite important to really invest on youth, because we are going to represent the future. And investing on us would be just making a great future, whatever ideas we're trying to bring, whatever ideas we're trying to come up with and try to implement and turn them into real projects, it's absolutely for the future, right? So it's quite sure what you guys mentioned is really important, and starting from educational system, because we know that the circle of learning should never stop. I mean, like, we want or not, there will be some parts in our education where we're going to learn stuff that gonna help us later in our career. So, like, even if we don't want to, that's gonna happen for sure. So thank you one more time for really for pointing out these amazing ideas. Now, actually, that leads me to the next question. How can young people restore social development in terms of restoration of strong social fabric that cements unity, equity, and peace? So, yeah, want to jump in, maybe, Mr.
I feel this is I think right now what Africa Rebirth is doing, I think that's the first step. I think that bringing people together I see people from Ethiopia, from Malawi, from all these countries that, young people would not normally meet. But, it starts from here. It's that meeting and talking and dialoguing. So the crazy thing is that someone in Malawi or someone in Ethiopia, a young person in Uganda, and they're all at university. But if you meet with them, they'll actually have the same problems and same needs. They want a job, they want a better future, they want electricity, they want running water, they have all these things. But the problem is they think in isolation, oh, this is what our country needs. But actually, that's all you need. So it starts from here, meeting and talking. And then, and then you close that with points of action. Like, what are we doing? What are you doing in your country? What is working in your country? What can I learn from your country? But again, it's conscious. You know, Owen is a politician, he's in parliament, but he can tell you that the journey to where he is in parliament, it required some strategic decisions. I know people would say luck and all that, but luck has to meet preparation. You have to be prepared, and you have to do some strategic groundwork. I think you have to identify the problem. Look, what's this problem? First of all, you are not going to do everything. You have to identify one or two things and focus on those, because you're not going to serve the entire Africa, or you're not going to serve your entire country. You can, maybe, but find something that you can focus on and do it so good that every person in the country will be calling you and running to you. Yeah, and it's just I see there's a bit of this is something I'm observing among young people. There's almost like a cultural identity crisis. So we don't know if we want to be like Americans or the British or the French or whoever colonized us, except for Ethiopians. So we have to be patriotic. That's the first thing, and know, okay, this is our country. We are Malawians, and what do we need as Malawians? We can borrow the things, but we have to have that conscience, like know who you are. But don't live in some people are like in Kampala, but like they're like in Los Angeles. Those words don't meet, and you're just living in fantasy. So you have to accept your realities and have an identity. Like, I'm this person, I'm going to work living my country. Yeah, dialogue. I don't know, like, you know, you bring about, you know, issues of unity, like tribal issues in all of these other countries. You know, I can't speak to this tribe because they're terrible, but you're in the same country. So, you know, so I think it starts from there. Like, your tribe, the other tribe is not your enemy. It's just politicians have used that, or some things many years ago happened, but it doesn't mean you can't stop working. So that's all. You can work. The lie is to you to think that because your tribe is the biggest, is going to dominate and work in isolation from other tribes in your country. That's how you remain behind. You have to work together. You don't have to necessarily like each other, like, and invite everyone to your home, but you can work on principle and develop your country. I think it's easier that way. I don't know, Owen, what do you want to say?
Yeah, exactly. And that's how the attitude usually is made. So yeah, Mr. Owen, do you want to add for that, for this point?
Thank you very much, JJ. I think a lot has been said, and I just wanted to say that as the youth, if we are to engage ourselves in real social development, we should understand the real issues that are affecting our people. What is affecting Africa to some extent is irresponsibility and perception that the youth are very irresponsible socially. You see, we need to be socially responsible. And the youth should understand, we need to understand that we are first responsible to our families. We are responsible to our communities. We are responsible to our nations. And in the largest sphere, to our continent. Now, patriotism is not there anymore. We have a distorted view of what Pan-Africanism is. In the end, sometimes we have extremists masquerading as Pan-Africans and so on. But I think we just need to be socially responsible, make sure that we are participating within the social framework as regards cohesion is very important, coexistence is very important. It's not that you should love me, but you should live with me anyway. So those are the things that, as JJ has said, that we need to understand. And there's this element that in this age and time, yes, what is affecting Africa is tribalism. Where I come from in Malawi, tribalism. In fact, even regionalism. But these are the issues. To what extent do you participate as the youth to perpetrate such? If you look at all the conflicts, the violence that we have in Africa, you look at those, you will find that the people who are the key players in the violence, the key elements of violence are below 30 or below 35. If you check, it means we have given away the social responsibility. We feel we can be used. We are now becoming tools instead of ourselves becoming the real players in this whole thing of social progress. So cautiousness is very important. As JJ said, to say culture, which elements, culture is supposed to evolve. Which elements of our culture should be continuing? Which elements of our culture should not continue? Culture is supposed to grow, and we are the custodians of our culture, but we have a section of our youth who are dumping culture altogether, and we have a section of our youth who are taking culture raw to a point that they don't want to change. They are very rigid. But you see, with the networking and whatsoever the communication age, things have changed. We need to be evolving also, and we should evolve faster than our colleagues. Because why Africa is lagging behind? Because we are moving slowly. We're moving slowly. It is taking us time to change. Even to get united, we are in need of United Nations to know that we should get united. The same way, we have families in Africa, even where I come from, where even for them to unite, they wait for a funeral to meet. So it's a big problem, but I think unity is very important, and the youth are the biggest accessories we need to make sure that they carry that cautiousness that they need to make Africa and make our countries, our regions peaceful. I tell you, for top politicians who are old, if they want to fight, they will recruit young people to be their soldiers. And these are the people who are killing us, who are killing our sisters, and do all sorts of nasty things. But I feel there's a need to make sure that we get consent and we participate. Socially, we should be responsible. That hard work where we should not expect much what we will get, but what we can contribute to our society, to our family, and to our countries. Patriotism is very important, integrity, and of course, hard work. Where I come from, I'm also a director of economic affairs in our party, the political party. We were ruling last 2 years, but we are now in opposition. But one of the issues that made us to lose an election is because we had a section of our youth who were just expecting to receive something, and they were not patriotic enough to make sure, and they were very busy even beating the opponents to the point that tainted our image. Those are the issues that make even the social fabric to have problems. So I just wanted to agree with what JJ said, to say it's very, very important to understand that we are social beings. I am because you are, and you are because I am. And if only we can believe in that, we'll go very far, and we will not segregate ourselves with all these barriers we are creating. Thank you.
Just one more
Thank
quick
you so
thing
much.
to add
Yes,
on
of
what
course.
Owen is saying. Owen, thank you. Owen mentioned something that the world is going so fast and it's taking us so long. So I just want to give you perspective on how the world is going so fast. So the technological advancements that have happened in the last 10 years, they as, what they call it, they are as, they equate themselves to like what happened 100 years ago. So what has happened the last 10 years, it is as much as what happened technologically 100 years ago. And it's even going to be faster by 2026. But in all those things, I don't see Africa. So we're going to the metaverse, and people are thinking about that. We are happy to consume those things, but we're giving all the money away. So I'll just kind of emphasize what Owen was saying, that it's taking us so long to catch up. So if you have an idea tonight, go back and act on it. Don't wait tomorrow, because it's going so fast. If you have an idea, write it down and try to act on it.
And I just wanted to add, wanted also to add on something. You see, socially, do you know that Africa, we're still struggling with basic issues like gender-based violence? Imagine in this age and time, we are still striving, and we have a number of projects about gender mainstreaming, gender whatsoever, because we are not learning fast, and we are not unlearning also. Our cultures have closed us up to a point that sometimes we want to be custodians of our culture when these cultures, such practices within our cultures and beliefs, they are not adding anything economically to the growth and the GDP of our countries. They are not adding anything to the political discourse of our countries. That's why we still have old men sitting on positions because of culture. We cannot say anything. These are the problems we are struggling with. And I think as Africa, and it starts with us, the youth, how do I perceive a woman? How do I perceive a man? Do our girls, our young people, our young women, are they still believing that it's only a man who can make them live and have something else on themselves they cannot? These are the things that we need to detach ourselves and have a perception that we can do everything possible, because you see, the biggest population are the youth in Africa. But if you dissect the demographics of the youth, the females are very big also. And this is something we need to be understanding also, because there's a complication. If we don't handle the females properly, they'll become mothers, and some are becoming mothers even at a very young age. To a point that where I come from, in my constituency, we are struggling with even early marriages. We are struggling with early childbirth, where a person is becoming a mother at the age of 17, and by the time he's 34, is a grandmother. We are creating wrong mothers in essence. So it goes to us, and we need to reflect in that, because even ourselves one day will be fathers and will be grandfathers, and we have to see what type of the future are we creating. And all this is happening because the framework of our society has created some cultures and beliefs which are very disrespectful morally, and even to our own children and our own sisters and our own and our own brothers. I just wanted to add on that, because we are grappling with issues which other civilizations, they grappled with them 20 years, 30 years ago, and we are still dealing with them. Africa can't feed itself. We're importing food. These are issues. We have plenty of land, but we are importing food. And we have most of our people, the youth, they are very energetic. The question is, where are they spending their time? We have mostly, everything is not working. The question is, where are we as the youth? Where are we spending our time? We need to make sure that we are breaking those barriers of culture where we are able. You can be 18 and own land. You can be 22 and run a business. But this element where we're waiting for our fathers' pensions and so on, so that now we inherit and so on. Days of inheritance are here, but we need to make sure that we even ourselves create an inheritance for our children. So I just wanted to add on that. Otherwise, I wanted to agree with JJ. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a great addition to be stated, of course. So yeah, before just asking my next question, I just want to remind everyone to start asking their questions to the chat box or preparing them in case you want to unmute your mic and ask it, because we're so close to that part. Since you guys mentioned like how youth can really contribute, and we all know that there is a lack of action, there is this emptiness that made youth not really able to take actions, which leads me to the next question. What are the challenges that impede youth people from taking a central role in development? Like, there are some obstacles that are making youth not really taking actions for developing our continent or even countries. So what are these challenges? In short, please, because we have to move to the Q&A.
I'll be very quick on this one. I think in short, I would say the problems, the challenges we are facing is, one, those that we are leaders now, we have poor programs, poor youth programs, and poor investments that will benefit the youth in education and so on. They are not helpful. Another thing is the poor attitude which we have for the youth. Those that are elders, they feel they still don't trust us. They still don't trust us. They still feel we are there to play around. We don't mean business. And also at the same time, the third one is even ourselves. We don't trust ourselves, and we are not, to a certain extent, we don't believe in ourselves. We have also an attitude where we are always blaming the elders, thinking they are our stumbling block. They'll never give us space. We need to scramble for this space. They'll never. And these people, they are enjoying what they are doing. Even at the age of 80, they can stay. They don't care. But we need to make sure that we create moves that it will make the seat hot for them to get out, and we still get into the space. So we need to do that. And another thing is low economic progress. The structure of our economies have made the youth not to be empowered. Now, you can't participate in politics if you are not economically proper. This one I can tell you, it's very expensive to run a political office and even to be a politician. Now, because we have denied our youth the economic part of it, all of them, they have become beggars. All of them, they are chasing for help and they're worshiping wrong gods. It's because we have not. So the poor economic progress, the structures we have created are not favoring the youth. And also the way the finance of this Africa is, and most of the countries like in Malawi are concerned, they are not favoring the youth, because it's like, for example, you need a loan. You can have an idea, a business idea, you need a loan, but no one will come and be an off-taker, or somebody will take it because they'll ask you a collateral. Now at 25, where will a young man of 25 get a collateral of 300 US dollars just like that? We are not appreciating, and they are not appreciating innovation. So those are some of the challenges we have in as far as hampering the progress of the youth. I can stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Owen from third. Mr. JJ, and please keep short because we have to, they have plenty of questions. We have to answer them, of course. So yeah, back to you,
Yeah.
Mr. JJ. Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't agree more with Owen. I think all the things are legitimate barriers. To me, what I can add on is a mentality. I know that all the things are there and there are hurdles and barriers, but I think that, as I said, we need to spur imagination, and we have to overcome those challenges. We have to think, and we have to strategically think. And now this is a trend. Every young person is trying to run for an office. I know politics is a lucrative business. I think it's only in Africa where politics pays more than business, but we're all not going to we're all not going to be politicians and run for business. So we think that the only way to change society is to have an office, and I think Owen hinted on it. That's not. It's one of the ways, but there are also other ways that we can change society. So I think we need to reimagine and unlearn whatever we've been told, and see these possibilities. For sure, there's things like someone mute thing. Someone mute there.
Can you please mute your mics? The host, you can just mute them. Yeah, please continue, Mr. Jit.
Owen mentioned about the inability to access capital. So the interest rates. So it's mad that the interest rate is at 18%. What kind of business are you going to do to take a loan of 18% interest rate to pay it back? It's impossible. It's almost impossible. So I think that our countries also have to think about, there's no access to loans. With it's almost like tying a rope in your neck, taking that loan, you're going to default. And so those are some of the things that we have to think about. Do we need to create our own financial institutions and have access to capital? Do we need to grassroots microfinances that we can do? Those are some of the challenges. So I think every challenge gives us an opportunity to think of a solution. So these are challenges that we're truly facing, but I think there's also a solution to that. And I think that as young people, the next generation, these are things that our kids or our grandkids will sit back and like, wow, these guys solved problems. but we shouldn't invite them into our own problems again. So that's all I can say. Imagination, and look at a problem and think about a solution. The problem is we look at a problem and then we call our gods, and that's it. So I think we need to spur imagination, and and people in the office, people like Owen, please do give us some good legislations, please. Think about society and move some legislations, because I was thinking like in Uganda, I was shocked there's no legislation or policy on like energy, like not just energy, but like home cooking, like what is Uganda's cooking policy in the next 20 years? There's zero. It is zero. So people have to fend for themselves. So like people representing, as a young person running for office, I'm all for it. I'll support you 100%. But what policies are you bringing, because I think policies, as a member of parliament, I know people look at members of parliament as people who should solve problems, but I think their role is to legislate, put in policies that are going to force government to do these things. I think that's the role of a parliamentarian, and that representation. But what are you representing? What are you bringing forward? Are you just bringing a legislation to help the next president amend the constitution and run for the 10th term, or whatever? Or are you bringing a legislation that is going to change people's lives that long after you're gone? I think that's the best part of being a member of parliament, that you can still have impact even 20 years when you're gone, because of the legislation that you led, that you advocated for and lobbied for. So let's think holistically, and also let's think 20 years. Don't think about 1 year. Let's think about 20 years, what's going to happen.
Okay, thank you so much. These were amazing points that you guys added. And yes, I hope people like JJ and Mr. Owen can also help us as you to take more actions and to speak out for justice, and to just, believe us, when taking actions and when making change, because we are capable of really impressing you and doing amazing stuff. So we need your support at the end, right? So now I would love to move to the questions. Thank you so much for your inputs. They're really amazing. And I'm sure because of these questions that I'm receiving now, we can start answering them. And by the way, for those who maybe want to ask their questions through muting their mics, you can just raise your hand and I'm going to call out your names. All right. There's Mr. Dr. William Salomo. He said he had two questions. The first question, okay, I'm going to put in the chat box just for you to see it while I read it for you. Okay, so question one was, where do our panelists see the stance of young people in politics in regards to many young people are more aware of different beliefs and convictions in Africa? And how does this affect our Africa culture? Additionally, what recommendations can our panelists suggest for young people to be able to lead tomorrow and be successful in what we do? Okay, let's go for the first question. So who want to answer it? And please keep it short because we're having other questions and we're running out of time. So yes, who want to take this question? The first one that I just posted.
I would take the last part of the question, because that's what really interests me. That the person asking the question, he talked about how do we adapt the Cambridge system, and to me that's where the problem is. You don't have, Africa has to, we have to draw on an education system to solve our own problems, not a Cambridge system, because the Cambridge system is a British system meant to solve British problems, and it causes influence to other countries. So I think that I like the way you're thinking. One is that we need change in our education system, but we have to design an education system that is specifically for your country's economic development, for future development, for all the things that you need to solve your own problems. I don't think that Cambridge education is going to solve your problem. Cambridge education is good and it's very expensive. How many people can even afford it anyways? It's only going to help you think like a British person and speak British English and probably do a good job somewhere. But is it going to change your society? You have to think about that, you know, we have to think about those things, like, and that's why, like, young people, we need to think I don't know, with a conscious patriotism, like what do our countries need in the next 20 years, you know, then what kind of education system can we design to meet that problem? So that's all I can say. I'm not dogging you, but I just want to, like, you know, you have to think about your own educational system and how it's going to help. Well,
Yeah.
are you going to still use English, or you're going to use your own local language in your education system?
So yes, thank you so much, Mr. JJ. What about you, Mr. Owen? You can actually answer the first part of, this question, or even the second question, so that we can move to the others. In short, please.
Let me ask you that one to answer that question, to say, what are the stance of young people in politics in regards to men are aware? I think what we need most is political awareness. People should understand that the political side of everything of their life, of their country, of their community, determines their destiny to some extent. So the political awareness is the first step, and for them also to lead, to be able to lead tomorrow, what can we do and be successful? The first thing is we should start living now, and we should be able to display the traits that we are reliable now. We need the youth who are still not believing their children. People who say, no, I'll change when I grow up. I'll change when I reach my 40. This thing of saying life starts at 40 is a fake thing, and is a very old adage which people coined to prevent competition so that they should continue to be where they are. Even at 25, life has started. So we need to appear to be responsible and be politically cautious. And at the same time, let's know the real issues affecting our people. If you can't understand the real issues, the real problems on the ground, you cannot participate in politics, because politics is a playground where people are looking for solutions for national progress, community progress, and regional progress. Now, if you can't appreciate the problems of the people, you can't be a politician. You can't engage in politics. Understand the problem and have ideas which you feel you can participate, not to escalate the problem, but at least to put it at a minimal level. So integrity is very key. You need to be, it's not everything that is politically correct. I know the biggest challenge politicians, young people have faced is because they just join the bandwagon. They don't have their own theory of change. They don't have their own understanding, the consciousness of what really they want to achieve. But really, you just follow and sing slogans and so on. You can't go like that. You will not go very far, because if you sing well slogans, I will recruit you, you'll be my boy. And that's where you end. So I just wanted to encourage, say, let's have political awareness and also belief, self-belief that we can be the leaders, and even now we can do something. And let's get the courage. Sometimes self-esteem is very low. We believe we can't say anything. We wait until we are 42 to say something. No, even at 28, at 31, you can say something. Know how to say it. Communicate. And how to communicate, don't offend people, respect people. They also respect you. So that's what I can say. About the education system, I just wanted to remind the colleagues here that, you see, the oldest and most greatest civilization started in Africa, where learning was there and they had their own syllabus. The first university in the world started in Timbuktu. It was in Africa. But how we distorted this whole thing to the point that we don't have our own syllabus of learning, it's something else. Whether we should go and adopt another system, I think we just need to understand, to say, what do we want to solve? What problems do we have that we want this education system to solve? I think those are the things that we should engage in a discourse on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Allen, for answering that question. There's also one more question that I found that I just found here. Who is going to develop Africa if well, if we are all if we're all running away from our developing countries and running to the developed countries, so in developed countries, you mean, and who is going to carry on our African cultures and customs if we are all following the European ways? So who can just answer this question, and then like we can move to the other one, please in short, because we're running out of time.
Yes, in short, I'll say who would develop Africa? It's Africans, and never be cheated. We are in competition here. Britain and ourselves were in competition. All countries, the continent of Africa is in competition with America and South America and North America, Asia, and so on. We are in competition, and never be cheated. This is not a first ground. It's a competition, and because it's a competition, anyone who slips down and falls, he'll be outcompeted. So who can develop Africa? It's Africans. We just need to make sure that we are the people to develop it. When we go there, remember to come back. Anytime you go that side, remember to come back. This is your home, and this is where you should develop our people. And they're also coming here. They're also coming here. They are looking for something. So the trekking cannot be a problem, but the problem is, where are you investing all your efforts, and whose people are you concerned with? It's no problem if you go to America and come back and invest here. But if you go and invest in New York and leave out Mombasa, then that's where the problem is. So to me, who can develop, that's straightforward. Africans for Africans, never, even the bills, all these things we get, the donations, they are in a business. They're in a business. That's why we have more NGOs. They are another capitalist mechanism. It's a business. It's a serious business of donation. So to me, I feel we can develop ourselves, and we are the people to develop ourselves. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Let me move to the next question. How can the youth leaders pass the obstacle of mistrust and betrayal in politics we find in our community members? Okay, Mr. Maybe JJ.
I think
or,
that,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really up to us. It's up to us to, be up to the challenge. Work hard, be reliable, be on time. If you say yes, let your yes be a yes. If it's a no, let your yes be a no. And that's how, trust. It takes time to build trust. So I think that, Owen talked about it. Show yourself that you can be trusted. That's the only way you can do it. That show yourself that you can be trusted, and then things will start from there. But also, don't wait to be given things. You work hard to get your own things, and your own opportunities, your own. You master your own destiny. Like, I don't know. By the time you hit 18. You start paying bills. So the moment you start paying bills, you own a phone, you all the things. Yeah, you're a master of your own destiny right now. You have to think about yourself, and don't wait for opportunity to be handed to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's actually leads me to the next question, where they asked, what do the panelists, both of you, think about the notion of globalization in Africa, and whether Africa can develop sectors such as agriculture without the overreaching influence of the West? Okay, you can both answer this question since it's for both of you, but please, in short, like, please.
I think that
Right.
I think globalization is a good thing, but globalization is not uniformity. We can still work with different sectors and different partners, but we have to think, because globalization I like what Owen said, it's a competition. So in a competition, we have to make the best deals. The reason why the Chinese are doing all the things and taking over things, we're not making good deals. We have to set limits. We have to think through these agreements, these global agreements. We have to think through all the things, not just go on and sign on a paper and then go. So it's a competition. You have to know what is in for you. Unfortunately, that's how global politics works. You have to know what is in for my country, and how is this going to benefit my country, and not just don't sign your soul off to something that you have not read. So read those papers, pressure your government, to disclose some of those agreements. Otherwise, we have to think globally, because that's what it is. But at the same time, we have to be shrewd. We have to be wise. Otherwise, people will take over our resources.
I wanted to say that I think we should understand the origins of globalization in the first place before we say whether it is good for us. And also, globalization, in essence, it is perpetrated by those that produced a lot, and they felt that they should not get constrained. They should also compete and go to other places. That's when now they say, no, Malawi, you can open up. We are in a global village. Now, if we are in a global village, are you able to send your items and pineapples to America? You can't. Even if they open up and create a Goa, they can't, because of the quality levels and whatsoever. So globalization is good and it's proper, but it is only proper because globalization is a competition. We have opened up the whole thing, and that's why when it is very hot with globalization, you see America now. America is now going protectionism. That's why the Trump and the rest, they won on the basis of America first. Let's make America great again, and let's close out immigration issues. These are now issues. Why? Because they have found that the globalization has not failed in SRA, but because they are now being outcompeted. With China growing and so on, Britain was enjoying globalization because it was exporting a lot of things to the other things. But now this time around, because the Eurozone has expanded, others have grown, they are now saying, no, we want to Brexit. Why? It's because they have seen. So to me, globalization is important, but we need to play to know how to play. The whole pitch is open, but make sure you know you're able to keep the center, you're able to keep your 18-yard box. Because if they fall there, it will be a penalty. You concede a penalty, you are gone. So it's a competition. Let's know what to protect and let's know what to open up. It's not everything for all. Open up and also close out where necessary. It's about competition. Put reasonable barriers, protect your industries as Africa, and also open up and so on. And that's where now JJ said negotiation. We have poor negotiators in Africa, and as the youth, we should develop the art of negotiation. Never be cheated. This life is about negotiating. Serious business is about negotiation. We should have the art of convincing people, the art of making sure that we are making deals happen. So that's what I can say about the influence of the West. No, they are not influencing us. It's us who are being influenced easily because we're just opening up in the name of globalization. But we can do something, protect ourselves and protect our conscience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Owen. Okay, so there are 3 questions, but we don't have a lot of time. So if you can just answer them as quickly as you can, it would be great. Otherwise, we will just take 2 of them and you can answer the rest of it in the chat box. So there's this one who asked if we are not interested in decision-making and legislative, how can we then earn their trust? So you can just jump in and answer this question, please, in short.
Like whose trust? That's what I was gonna say. You know, don't wait for people to trust you, because that may not even happen. But it's you to prove that you can be trusted and remain active and remain working. I don't think that. And you have to fight for these things. You have to move forward, bring solutions, bring people trust you when you have something. People are not going to trust you when you're just roaming the village or doing things that are not worthy. People are not going to trust you. When people see that you are a productive member of society, people are going to trust you otherwise. Or even if they don't trust you, but you're doing something. So I don't think that there's going to be a time when someone's going to call you on the phone and say, okay, now I trust you. You know, you come and take over this one. It has to be in action.
Thank you. I'll just say one word to say trust is earned.
Okay.
Yeah, trust is earned. You don't receive trust. Trust is earned. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. I totally agree with that. There's also one more question that says how to become a social entrepreneur. Maybe if any of you have an idea, I can just jump in short, please, because we're literally running out of time. Yes.
Mine is just also a short one to say social entrepreneur. It's about identify a problem your people are facing and turn it into a business model where you can earn something. It's as simple as that. People are struggling, for example, with the gender-based violence whatsoever. That is a social problem. Now, from that social problem, you should create an innovative product or service that will be you will be able to sell. That's what is to become a social entrepreneur. Simple as that. That's how I can respond to that.
Perfect. In
I
short,
agree.
thank you so much.
There's,
Yes, JJ. In
I
short,
agree.
please.
There's no magic formula to that. It's
Yeah.
identifying what the problem is and then act on it. So like for example, that I'm thinking about people using charcoal and firewood. Like okay, what else can we do? Okay, we have cows, we have goats, we have kitchen compost, but we can produce methane gas. So you build a biodigester that produces methane gas for people to cook. It's simple as that. So it's just thinking, what's the problem, what's the solution, and then have people too. Yeah, you need people, you need a team. You can do it in isolation.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. JJ. And there is the last question that we're going to take for this webinar. Now he just said that he's freshman and stuff. He just at the end asked, advise me on how to be politically aware. Please, in short, because we cannot answer any other questions.
Can you come again on that?
Yes, sure, in short, please.
Can you ask the question again?
Yeah, he just said, like, advise me on how to be politically aware.
Political awareness is where you are able to appreciate and understand, not even understand, but appreciate the existence of powers and the relations that are surrounding the community, the republic, and even your family. You need to know who has more say in this. That's political knowing. That's political awareness. You should have that click within yourself to understand, to say these are issues, but who can solve them need to be moved by somebody, and that somebody need to be moved by somebody. That chain, if you realize that chain, you are politically aware. And if you do an action that makes it that all these people in the chain, sometimes we have a word we call political correctness. Something that you do because it is acceptable within all the chains of the players within that framework. So to me, how is to be politically aware? It's just awareness. Put your tentacles out, understand it, sense your surrounding, know what is happening so that it determines how you stand, why you should stand, and where you should stand. That's awareness. You need to understand that what is happening in your country. And what are people thinking about? When everybody is complaining about the economy, you can't just start to complain about the weather. You need to understand all those things. So I'm trying to say that you need to be aware of the environment. And in this case, it's not about the geographical environment, but the social environment, how people are thinking, how people are perceiving other matters. That's the awareness we are talking about. Just to have a click in mind. While you're an accountant, you are busy understanding international accounting standards. Know also what is happening outside. What are others saying? Even Jesus one time, if you're a Christian, Jesus one time asked his disciples, what do people say I am? And he was shocked that even some of his disciples said, no, Chief, you are Elijah. Chief, you are Jonah. He was shocked because he needed to understand. So you need to get that feedback. Sometimes listen to the news in your own country. There are some youth who don't listen. They're always on the music. No, sometimes take time to listen to the news. Hear what your president is saying, what is happening. Those are matters of very great importance to your life. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Owen, for that. So I just want to say that this is the end of our webinar. Thank you so much for answering most of the questions that were so interesting. I really couldn't even choose because they were all interesting. And me personally, I wanted to know the answer of each one of them. So thank you so much for well answering them, for the amazing inputs, for the amazing talk that you made in here. It was amazing just listening to you and contributing with that. So I really do appreciate it. Any final words you want to add? Please give it a shot. You can just start, whoever wants.
JJ should start.
I would say that on political correctness, I would say I agree 100% with what Owen said. He talked about Jesus, but at one point, Jesus actually he said, give to Caesar what is to Caesar. So that's understanding, that it's like walking in the dark if you don't know your political awareness, because politics it's not for naive people. You have to be, you have to be sharp. But what I can say in the end is, you guys keep at it. I appreciate what you guys are trying to do. It's refreshing to see young people coming together, trade ideas, and trying to find solutions to their problems. So keep at it, and the future is bright. This is the time for you to rise and shine. So have a good one.
Thank you so much, Mr. JJ, for this inspiring words. Mr. Owen, please, in short.
Thank you very much. Also, I just wanted to appreciate the work that African Rebirth is doing. And I want to encourage you again that these discussions, sometimes they help us to change our mindset, to learn and also unlearn. One thing I wanted to just say is that I think we have always been taught to think outside the box. It's high time we just remove the box and just think. So I really appreciate the invitation and being part of this youth movement. I'm sure we'll do something for our people and our continent. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate your final words. They are so inspiring, and we will make sure to absolutely do that. Promise from now. But you have also to promise us with help as well and support, because we need that as youth, of course. So thank you so much again. Mr. Inosh, would you love to say your final words? It was like behind the scenes all time. You can jump in now.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen who attended the webinar. But big thank you to JJ, Owen, for the wonderful discussion. I learned a lot. Muhammad Ali said that a man without imagination has no wings. So if you don't have imagination, like JJ was pointing out a lot, you can't create things. You can't be innovative. You are like a dead man moving if you don't have imagination. And sometimes imagination can take you to places. You can be thinking now and you're thinking 100 years from now. So think about imagination. And Owen said something about consciousness. You cannot do without anything without consciousness. Have you had in society, like you say, that man likes consciousness. So he's just acting like a tree, because a tree is the one that doesn't have consciousness. So consciousness for national, political, or continent is very, very good. And such forums are meant to shape our realities to a greater height. Like at African Rebirth, we envision to defy mediocrity. And whatever we've been discussing here is helping us a step towards really defying mediocrity. How do we think? How do we think about through issues? Most people will say, oh, I'm not going to politics because they will shoot me. Oh, okay. Even you can die an accident when you are just a cleaner at home. So it's not that death. So don't fear these big realities and moving forward. So I'll summarize this. Since we are talking about young people, I'll summarize it in 3. 1, as young people, you must have a personal strategy. What do you want as young people? Before even you think about a nation, a continent, that could be far-fetched. What is your interest? How do you develop yourself? How do I define my interests as a person? Number 2 is people strategy. So how do you align your interests with people that want to help you achieve your interests to a big extent? But how do you even treat people? How do you serve people? Number 3, which has been lacking most in Africa, is a generational strategy. What is your 120, 40 years plan as a young person? Because even our leaders have no generation strategy. They are always amending constitutions 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. They are living like a drunkard sailors. A drunkard sailor is the one who gets the money, go drink, because they think that the lake won't migrate. So that you can't develop something if you have that mindset. And so as African Rebirth and as young people, let's have those strategies And the continent of Africa lacks a generational strategy. We have so many good things. We have bright people, we have generous people, we have spiritual people who pray from Monday to Thursday. We have, but we lack a generational strategy. What are we doing now that's going to have effect 50 years, 60 years, 200 years from now? So that's what we want. So our young people define those strategies. So thank you very much, Salma, for moderating the panel. Thank you, JJ. JJ is my big brother, and it's good. It's cool to have a brother who thinks generational. So thank you very much.
Exactly. That's actually why we want to take a memory screenshot. Can you take it from your side, please, Enosh?
The what? Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. We can just take screenshot together.
Oh, there are people here taking screenshots. I'm not sure whether I'm good at screenshots.
I will join. Okay, I will join from my computer. You can do it.
Okay. Done. Screenshots are done. So thank you very much.
Wow, that was
Owen.
nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Owen. Have a very good day. Thank you for representing young people in Malawi. I know you're doing a very great things there. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
you.
Enjoy your night.
Thank you for
7
moderating.
a.m.
Have a great day.
Bye.